Only on to a mother's scorn as possibly the strongest force there is out there.
And it's what's driving a cold case we've followed since 2004. 18-year-old Brittany Phillips was raped and killed in her East Tulsa apartment 13 years ago. Through the years, we've watched her mother fight for legislation for victims' rights, but most of all, answers. 2 Works For You reporter Ashley Holt dives into the case that's closer than ever to being solved.
Dr. Maggie Zingman.
She was my best friend, and there's a lot of people who are going to miss her.
Has been on this journey.
I don't want to go, through the rest of my life wondering what happened.
For a very, very long time.
I don't think I'll ever get over the pain.
It's been 13 years since she was a shaken mother clutching a teddy bear, following her daughter's casket out of Temple, Israel.
I want him to rot in a jail cell for the rest of his life.
What she didn't know then was the woman sitting before us now still wouldn't know who should rot in jail, but she'd dedicate her life to figuring that out.
Like many parents, I thought, this will never happen to me.
She remembers how it started.
And I opened the door to this young sheriff standing in the rain, and he had a piece of paper in his hand, and he just quickly said to me, "Are you Maggie Zingman?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You need to call Tulsa police. Your daughter's been murdered."
She had left Brittany a voicemail days before.
"Now, Brittany, please call me. I know you're okay, but I just need to hear from you."
Next thing she knew, she's standing in Brittany's apartment, swarming with investigators.
Brittany dropped the friend off at her apartment complex at 51st Memorial. Brittany drives home.
The last time her friend saw her.
They go and check the well-being and find Brittany deceased inside her apartment.
Police say there were signs of an altercation before she was raped and strangled to death.
All I could think of was how long she was hurt, how long she was dead.
Investigators tested DNA from the scene.
Any kind of crimes that are even remotely similar we're looking into.
But came up with nothing. Dr. Zingman's final goodbye to her daughter through a blanket.
I basically had to pat her head, as I always had, and say goodbye to her.
I just rubbed my finger down her nose and I just said, "I'm sorry, Brittany. I'm sorry this happened. I'm sorry I didn't protect you. I'm sorry that they won't even let me touch you."
It's probably the case I spend most of my time on.
Police figured the murderer could be anywhere.
And I thought, so how do we get this story beyond, Tulsa or beyond Oklahoma?
She had an idea.
This killer may be elsewhere, and that somebody may have a case that's very similar to this.
And Caravan to Catch a Killer was born, growing into a traffic-stopping, bright purple and pink car.
They tell me I'm brave or courageous, and I just tell them I'm just a mother.
She's driven hundreds of thousands of miles, turning corners across the country and turning up tips.
By still telling her story, I'm also telling the story about why we need DNA laws.
And turning heads. Dr. Zingman partnered with the state representative for stricter DNA legislation.
We are asking for DNA samples from individuals upon arrest.
Even if it doesn't solve our murder, it's gonna save lives.
But possibly the most shocking part of her journey so far came last month.
We know his hair color, his eye color, his skin complexion, where he is originally from as far as his family.
She got a call from Detective Majors who had the first composite photo of Brittany's killer.
I started shaking. I had this really sick feeling to my stomach because I thought maybe I'd know the picture right away.
She didn't know him, but something did strike her immediately.
It was the type of person that she might have been attracted to.
It made sense, but that didn't make it any easier.
Basically, I don't see him as human.
She doesn't see compassion behind his piercing blue eyes, but she does see a chance. Both she and detectives received dozens of tips.
It does give me hope, but I've had to learn to just, I'll believe it when we see it.
Her journey from a devastated mother with no voice to an activist, law changer, and survivor has brought her not only a new focus in life.
I feel like in some way she can't rest, until I find this killer.
But it's also brought her closer to the one thing she needed, the one thing she started this journey to do, to catch a killer. Ashley Holt, 2 Works For You.
And so, if you have seen this face or know anything about Brittany Phillips' murder, Call the number on your screen. Dr. Zingman has plans to put the face of her daughter's killer on her car to generate more tips as she drives across the country again.